Dillon Brooks hit with a flagrant 2. Should he have been suspended? We all agree that it's not that LeBron wasn't hit and probably in pain. It's that he milked it. That's what I meant when I said milked it, right? Like,
Good.
you're in pain,
Like
but now you're going to get what you can out of it. And what he got was Dillon Brooks ejected.
Yeah, that's what he should do.
Here's Dillon Brooks at the press conference Sunday. Jay, you want him immediately available.
I mean, it'd be nice to talk to the media after the game, right? Instead of just walking out.
I agree. But here's what he says about the media. People like you, Jay Will, in the media. I think he's talking to you.
He's talking to me directly. Okay.
We're making him out to be the villain.
The media making me a villain. The fans making me a villain. And then that just creates a whole different persona on me. So now you think I intended to hit LeBron James in the nuts. I'm playing basketball, I'm a basketball player. So if I intended, and that's whatever is in the flagrant 2 category of having a flagrant 2, and you think I did that, that means you think I'm that type of person. And that's why I don't rate Mark Taylor at all.
Yes, he was graphic.
No, I'm laughing at LeBron, though. The slow fall, the turnover, the head down, the head over the eyes. I love it, though.
So,
Getting
Jay,
kicked out.
Key, you heard Dillon Brooks blame the media.
It's everybody else's fault.
It's everybody else's fault. It's not maybe him.
Well, Jay, Key, you know how I work in this industry, but you know how I feel about it doing my playing career, man. Sometimes people set a narrative, even though you bring a lot of it on yourself sometimes based on your attitude and some of the things that come out your mouth, but they set a certain precedent narrative about who you are, and people kind of follow it, believe it. So I'm not going to say he's completely wrong. I'm really not, but, you know, I'm all Team LeBron on this one.
I mean, I get what Dillon's trying to say, and I think there are examples, Key, you and I both have seen, where if the media or certain individuals in the media don't like certain people, it carries a lot of weight because it creates narratives with people who don't get a chance to do a lot of their homework, and they just take it for the grain of salt of what it is.
Yeah.
Right? But I think you need to do things to counter those narratives, and I think Dillon leans into those narratives. Like, that's a part of his persona that makes him stand out. Like, he is the guy that does the dirty work. Dillon Brooks does lead the NBA in technical fouls. Like, there are multiple examples of things that he has said post-game that make you look at Dillon saying, okay, you do kind of fit that villain-like character because your offensive game isn't like that, so you have to do things to muck up the game to make your name stand out and to make your game go to the next level. So there is an aspect of that for Dillon Brooks.
But there's, and Max and I, we've talked about this, and you too, Jay, but we've talked about it off air, whatever the case may be. There's certain words that people use to describe individuals that are hustle faces like Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is a hustle face to me, which means that he doesn't have an offensive game. He just plays everything hustle. He's the guy who's going to get in somebody's face, rattle them, have them thinking about him. And people use a certain word. It's almost like, what's my man in Chicago that was with the Clippers and got traded? Little guard, Jay.
Pat Bev?
Pat Bev. Yeah. It's almost like Pat Bev, right? He's got a certain edge to him, and people want to always make it seem like he's the villain type guy. Well, that's just who he is. He can't change that. But then there's certain words that are used when people are talking about you, writing about you, that describe you in a certain way that sticks in people's minds in the media to form an opinion about who you are. And I'm not taking up for Dillon Brooks. I just know, having lived it personally in my own career, how those narratives are shaped just based on how you approach the game. In the way you approach it is different than the way people think you should approach the game when they're writing about you. That's just me, though. That's just the way I look at it.
I got a theory about this. I want to see what you guys think. And I'm not suggesting this is the main thing driving it, but I think it has a huge part of it, and people don't realize. when you don't shoot it well. Like, imagine if Russell Westbrook had a real good outside shot. You would hear a little fraction of what you've heard about him throughout his career. Imagine if Dillon Brooks was just stroking it from outside, like he was killing it 42%. Your whole thought, because what you mentioned, Key, is hustle face, right? Like, he doesn't really have an offensive game. You don't have to have post moves and all this stuff. If you can just, not just D, but 3 and D, if you could hit the outside shot, the whole feeling of the kind of player you are is different. The fact that, as you said, Jay, his shot is broken, right? Kind of contributes to that, because it's like you just get a negative association with the guy, and then you realize, as Key said, that the only thing he can do is get under people's skin and defend and everything, and it helps make him available. I think much more of the way people feel about players is based on whether they hit shots or not.
I don't know about that. I mean, Trae Young makes a lot of shots, but I mean, he's not seen as like Dillon Brooks, but there is that aspect of it. CP3, until lately, I mean, he was kind of seen shooting from the field and one ejection.
But what I tell you last week,
what
though,
you gonna
Jay,
do?
The first thing I said, LeBron ain't got to say none of that, dude, man. Come on. I don't even need to have a conversation about you at all. Everybody knows what you are. Everybody knows what I am. At the end of the day, you know, when you usually, though, Jay, guys like Dillon Brooks, they game really don't match their mouth, no matter what sport it is. Dudes that just be like acting like that, they don't really get down that way.
Yo, but Key, real talk, I'm gonna tell you something. Like, if you ever watch Dillon Brooks shoot, it pains me sometimes. Like, it pains me because, like, here, pull the camera back on me though, because if you can see, like, most players when they shoot, the ball stays here in their pocket, right? It goes up like this. This dude brings the ball down here. I mean, he'll catch the ball here and then bring it down here and go up every time. It is one of the most painful things for a guy that, you know, like, if you just add shooting to your game, if you became more consistent with that, your game, it's like wasted motion. You would be so much better. But you take 11 shots in the quarter, you're like, what are you doing, man? You're not him like that.
That's exactly why he's not better, is because he doesn't shoot it consistently enough.
You know, he got caught up, though, Jay. So when you get caught up, you going against LeBron James, so you getting caught up. You now thought that you was psychologically getting ready to fake him out, but you done faked yourself out by doing what you did the last game.
Well, let's
So now
talk
you
about
put
that.
this pressure on yourself to a point where now you got to try to prove. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So now you out there, man, what they call it, self-check?
Yep.
Yeah, you out there. Yeah, you self-checking, man. We good. Let him shoot again. You know, let him shoot again. All right, just move out. Let him go. Oh, well, he's going to miss that one. Let's
explain to people, Key, what happened here, okay? So LeBron said something to Dillon Brooks before this game. And Dillon Brooks is guarding LeBron and looks like he's reaching for the ball, but hits LeBron center groin. And LeBron goes down and is demonstrative about the kind of pain he's in. And considering James Harden was ejected the other night, there's a flagrant 2 immediately gone. Dillon Brooks was also hit with a flagrant 2. Question is, should he have been suspended? Draymond was suspended. Or is this LeBron setting him up and milking it?
Well, it doesn't. Remember, it goes back to game 3. It goes back to game 3, not game. I mean, it goes back to game 2, right? Yeah, it goes back to game 2 when they had their little confrontation.
Yeah, for sure.
Originally.
Here's Dillon Brooks at the post-game presser talking about how previous things in these playoffs, not even involving these teams, could have affected the call on him. Listen.
I didn't even focus on that. I knew I wasn't going to be, they can't dictate the series like that.